Hey everybody, it's Philtastic Phil here, and I want to welcome you to my channel. We finally meet face to screen. I'm filming today from my home office on my lunch hour, or as I prefer to call it, that magical hour when the morning coffee hasn't worn off yet, but the afternoon coffee is just about to kick in. Today is International Women's Day, and to celebrate, I'm going to show off some Slabs comic books from my personal collection, showing off some female superheroes, some key issues, and some not so key issues. But before we do that, quick shout out. Alright, so my first set of shout-outs, in the spirit of International Women's Day, go out to some of the women in my life. First, of course, my beautiful wife, who I will give a shout-out to every single video. Hey, honey. To my mother, my stepmother, and to Betty Ann, as well as my mother-in-law, to Shek Kaler, my sisters, Pamela, Samantha, and Margot. Happy International Women's Day. And, of course, to my favorite and only older cousin, Gina. The next shout out I have goes to the Joe Kubert School of Cartoon and Graphic Art, located really down the street from me here in Dover, New Jersey. The Kubert School, founded by Joe Kubert, of course, is really known and synonymous with fostering some great artists and writers in the comic book industry and in the entertainment industry all around throughout the years. I myself took a couple of online learning classes, online evening learning classes after work this past year. The first class was with someone I'm going to talk about in a few moments, the great writer Amy Chu, and the second one was with Dan DiDio, formerly of DC Comics. And I can't say enough great things, not only about these instructors, but also the course itself. If you're interested in art and writing and comics, I highly recommend checking out the Joe Kubert School. Go right to their website, kubertschool.edu. Again, that's Kubert, K-U-B-E-R-T, school.edu. Hopefully they continue those evening online programs. I definitely want to take a couple more in the future. One more quick shout out to the artist behind the Catwoman picture that I'm going to show off today, Nick Justice. That's N-I-C-K-J-U-S-T-U-S. Nick is a 2011 graduate of the Kubert School, so this is almost kind of like a mini Kubert School theme. You can get him on Instagram at Nick Justice Art, and that's N-I-C-K-J-U-S-T-U-S-A-R-T. From time to time, Nick does take commissions. I'm not sure if he has any open right now, but the best way to find out is just by going to his Instagram. Definitely has a lot of great pictures. I really enjoy this recent Galactus pick he did just the other day. A lot of great Batman pictures as well. If there's something that you'd like to see, it looks like he does also blank covers as well. It looks like they're yellow label. Definitely check out that Instagram. Again, that's at Nick Just Us Art. Alright everybody, we're about to begin. I've cleverly disguised my workstation using some old posters and flyers from my local comic book store. You'll notice in the back that giant poster is the DC promotion, I think it was from 2011, drawing the line at $2.99, where Marvel, I believe, had just increased their issue prices to $3.99, and DC said, well, we're staying at $2.99. I wonder how many future state titles were $2.99. Do you miss comics for $2.99? If so, just leave a message in the comments for me. Tell me what you think. Over to the left, I have a beautiful hand-drawn sketch from an artist formerly of New Jersey, Nick Justice. I got this drawing, I was lucky enough to get this drawing, I should say, during Zap Comics, which is a store in Wayne, New Jersey. They had their Batman Day celebration, and I bought a Batman blind box, and besides getting a couple trades, I was lucky enough to get this great original sketch from Nick. It's one of my favorite pieces. I have it framed, and it's in my home office here. Alright, so the first slab I promised to show you for Women's Day is not what you would call a key comic. This was a special gift given to me by Elon, the original owner of Fat Moose Comics and Games in Whippany, New Jersey, the current owner of Mighty Moose Comics out in Washington. Look them up, and let me go ahead and go with it. Okay, so this is Ultimate Vision number 1. It's a 9.8. The case is a little busted. I think it got moved around got busted around, I should say, in a move. Elon gave this to me for my 35th birthday. gave me a couple slabs, and this was one of them. I thought this would be nice to start the evening with. Yes, it's not a huge issue, it's not a key issue, but just in, let's say, in celebration of WandaVision, which just wrapped up this past week. Okay, the next slab I'd like to show off in honor of International Women's Day is Catwoman 51. This is an Adam Hughes cover. It's a 9.8. I know what you may be thinking. Yes, this is a very cheesecakey cover. I certainly understand that. That being said, I really feel that Catwoman is one of the most important characters in comic book history, male or female. She was one of the first, if not the first character, to not be a hero, not be a villain. You know, she plays by her own rules. Her role changes really as best as it suits her needs. She's a character that I think has really had a tremendous amount of growth over the years. Even though it was a little bit of a controversial storyline, I really enjoyed Tom King's take on the character, and I've been eagerly reading and awaiting the next issues of the Batman and Catwoman series. Okay, the next slab I'd like to show off in honor of International Women's Day is NYX number 3, the first appearance of X-23, the female clone of Wolverine. This is such a great character that really came out of nowhere, I feel, and surprised everyone. I've really followed her story and her series since her appearance. Now, this slab itself, it's not a great grade. It's 7.5, and to be honest with you, I may get it pressed and reslabbed, or reslabbed and pressed, let's say. It looks like there's just a couple of moisture marks and whatnot that can easily be pressed out. Alright, the next slab I have to show you is one of my personal favorites. This is Avengers Annual number 10, the first appearance of the X-Man known as Rogue, or X-Woman, I guess you could say. Rogue is such a great character. She's been a favorite of mine since the animated series, and this is becoming an increasingly important, or I guess you could say recognized first appearance. I urge you, if you don't have this, to look for it in your collection while you can, as the X-Men books, as everyone knows, has been picking up in price. Okay, the next book I have, well, actually before I do that, I failed to mention my special little helper, Groot, hanging out right by the little easel there. The next book I have is what you could call, I guess, a modern-day classic that's quickly gaining popularity and gaining steam. This is one I'm proud to say I picked up right off the rack when it was first released. This is Ms. Marvel number 1, 9.8. Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan, such a great character, such a great story. This is one of those lightning in a bottle characters that really has taken off and I think is going nowhere but up. She's got such great stories. This story, if you haven't read it, look it up on the Marvel Unlimited app. Look it up in any of the recent trades or reprints that you could find. Really a great coming-of-age story, and being from New Jersey, the fact that it's set mostly in Jersey City certainly didn't hurt with the story for me. The writer on this, G. Willow Wilson, is one of my favorites. I follow her really for almost everything that she's done. In addition to this work, I followed her over onto her brief run on Wonder Woman. I'm enjoying her series Invisible Kingdom. I know that is going to be wrapping up shortly. I haven't checked out Sandman yet. I'm going to be looking at her Sandman series, perhaps when it's collected in a trade. But as I said, Ms. Marvel number 1. I'm very happy that this came back as a 9.8. Definitely one of the highlights of my collection. Okay, and the final slab I have to show you tonight in honor of International Women's Day is one of the few items I have that are gold label signature series slabs. This is Monstrous number 2 at a 9.8, signed by the writer Marjorie Liu. Monstrous has been consistently one of my favorite series. It is complex. It is not your average superhero tale. It's more of a fantasy, medieval meets, I guess you could say, steampunk, even though I'd hate to say that type of story. I understand that. I think this is getting a wrap up as well. I got this signed about maybe 2 years ago now at Midtown Comics. In addition to getting this issue signed, I also had Marjorie sign a copy of X-23 number 1 from her run on that title. Another great story. And also another one that I didn't get slabs is one of the issues from her Extreme X-Men run, and she was nice enough to sign that to both me and my wife. My wife wasn't with me, but Again, Marjorie was nice enough to personalize that for me. That, by the way, is another great run if you're looking for a good X-Men run, and that was really under the table. Really some great, heartfelt writing. Next, I would like to tell you about a great digital comic I read this week, and that is Sensational Wonder Woman #9, written by Amy Chu, whom I've just mentioned a few moments ago, and drawn by ML Sanapo. I do apologize if I mispronounced your name. I'm of Italian descent myself. I'm down with the struggle. Sensational Wonder Woman is a DC digital first series that launched in January, but they are taking the digital issues and reprinting them at some point and putting them in comic shops. I see that the series itself launched in early January, and it says that the first issue of the printed version arrived in stores in early March. So if you prefer to forego this issue, issue #9, in digital form and want to jump on printed form, you might have to wait a couple months, but I do highly recommend it. Without giving too much away, the story itself revolves around an elderly dementia patient who runs out of her nursing facility. When the orderly finds the elderly woman in the park, she tells him a story about when she stood shoulder to shoulder with the one and only Wonder Woman during World War I. He brings her back to the nursing facility, but a little cliffhanger for issue 2, her stay there might not be very long at all. As I said, I didn't want to give out too many spoilers. I felt like I may have even given out a little bit too much information than I should have, because I do highly recommend checking out this title. The writing itself, although the story is short, I should say, at least this part of the story is short, the writing itself is great. It tells you all you need to know about the character, and it's got a really good flow to it. It goes from these really kind of quiet moments to these moments of, at first, small action, and then quiet, and then you've got big action, of course, when they're talking about World War I. And when they're even really talking about those historical scenes, it feels like it's got like a grandiose kind of tone to it, kind of like you're almost watching something like a Saving Private Ryan or Band of Brothers type of program. You really kind of feel like you're right in there. And when the lead character tells us about the first time she saw Wonder Woman live in person in the flesh, you really get that sense, and it really captures that feeling of this kind of grandiose display, like you saw something incredible. Speaking of incredible, that's how I would define the art in Sensational Wonder Woman #9. Simply incredible. It really kind of gets the tone of the story. Again, you have these very kind of quiet moments, and then when it goes into World War I, you have these great kind of pop art type of moments. The style itself, it kind of reminds me of a Mike Allred, but it's not as cartoony. And the art itself really kind of lends itself to the story. It's just as quiet and muted when it needs to be. And during those big action scenes, you really feel the action. I mean, DC, this picture of Wonder Woman riding on this horse in the middle of battle, that should be your next Wonder Woman poster, because that captures everything you need about Wonder Woman in one shot. As I said earlier, too, it's got more of a pop art sensibility than what you traditionally see in comics. It's something, to be honest with you, it reminds me of a Roy Lichtenstein, but more active and just more kind of grandiose. When you see Wonder Woman jumping on that horse and throwing her headband, her tiara, throwing her tiara in battle, you really get a sense of that action, a sense of that feeling. Really captures the movement and the moment very well. And what's amazing as well is that even though you're looking at a historical piece, Wonder Woman still has kind of a very modern look and a modern feeling, like she could be really placed at any moment in time. It's a timeless scene, and I hope that the story, at least in its future installments, captures more great moments like this. Amy Chu and ML Sanapo really work together on this. They really complement each other really, really well. I highly recommend that you pick this up, even if you wait for the printed copy. I picked up digital. The next installment comes out on Wednesday, March 10th. I'm definitely picking it up. And, we spoke a little bit before. I kind of joked a bit about, DC giving out those big posters, draw the line at $2.99, and 10 years later, I think issues of Future State came out at $7.99. Well, this is really a steal at 99 cents. Yeah, it is a small bit of a story, but it's a really good bit. Definitely check it out. You will not regret it. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Before I go, I just wanted to introduce you to the channel mascot. His name is Paul. I've named him after Paul from 90 Day Fiancé. Paul, is there anything you'd like to say to anybody? Nope. Paul is just a Paul. He doesn't speak. Thanks again for watching and for checking out the channel. I appreciate it. Peace, love, and comics.